Good Wednesday morning. This is the Great Basin Fire Potential Briefing, Wednesday, June 19th. A look at our impact map. So we do have some significant ones, and then seasonably strong cold front will produce strong gusty winds, gusting up to 40 to 50 miles per hour today into this evening across a good portion of the Snake River Plain, lower elevations of southern and parts of eastern Idaho. We do have some concerns there. This front will sag southwards Thursday and Friday, pushing that belt of stronger winds further south. Behind the front, cooler, more moist conditions. By Friday, the concern for strong winds and low humidity and relatively dry grasses will be confined to our far southern areas, but for the most part, a significant cool down and moistening for at least 3/4 of the geographic area. Over the past 24 hours, we did have some precipitation across our far eastern areas, fairly light and spotty. There was some lightning to be found in some of those areas as well. We did have some new fire starts indicated in the red, mostly small fires, 1 acre to 5 acres. One of the larger ones up here across northwest Utah was a couple of dozen acres. So things are picking up. Another one up here in Idaho. So in the finer grasses that are cured, we do have some concerns. Heavier fuel still not an issue, and we'll look at that in more detail shortly. Precipitation, some of our driest areas, it's been kind of dry except for the highest elevations across eastern areas of the Great Basin, but if you look to the left here, the Snake River Plain has been quite dry over the past week, as well as our far southern areas. Also for the past 2 weeks, there's a good dry slot there in southern Idaho and across a good portion of the southwestern and far southern areas of the Great Basin. Again, so that's a concern, as well as northwest Nevada. Our ERCs, which have a lot of components, including 1,000-hour heavier fuels, are starting to dry out, especially across western areas and into southwestern Idaho. Still fairly moist down south, and they had some showers recently down there. But if we look at some other indicators, 10-hour fuel moisture, so for fine grasses, as long as you get a good dry, windy afternoon, some of that could burn down here, and especially across northwestern Nevada and into parts of southern Idaho. Those 10-hour fuels are quite low, but we have mitigating factors. Soil moisture, which is still residual from the wet winter and cool, moist spring, still anomalies above normal, especially across Utah, but starting to dry out across Idaho, actually below normal soil moisture as you head towards the northern portion of the Great Basin. But down here in the Snake River Plain, they're kind of back to normal, so that's a concern there. Looking at live fuels, sagebrush up here just north of Twin Falls, normal in the green, current in the blue, and record level dryness in the red. You can see, even though we started above normal up there, we've dried out to normal mid-June levels across the brush in Idaho, still meaning it's still on the moist side. But much more moist further south. So in southern Nevada, southeastern Nevada, near Pioche, the live fuel moisture still well above normal, about 225 or so. Normal level should be closer to 140, and like last year, we were probably below 100. So totally different story down there. The grasses will burn, but down south, the sagebrush probably will act to mitigate any significant fire spread. Satellite imagery shows an unseasonably deep low pressure area, very tight packing of these height lines, something we see mostly in March and April, not in mid-June. Clouds and maybe some showers just north of our area, but strong winds, which will be lining up well with the Snake River Plain today out of the west and northwest, are a big concern. Light winds and warm and dry further south, but this front and these strong winds will push further south in the next couple of days, and we'll look at that. So starting with this afternoon, there's that good belt of wind, very tight packing of the height lines this time of year. Also a push of atmospheric dryness through here. Much of the moisture stays well up north of McCall in those higher elevation areas. So we have issued a high risk for wind across parts of the Snake River Plain, mainly elevations below 4,500 feet, where grasses are dominant. Now, we've had some fires in the last several days of 200 to 300 acres with winds much weaker than what we're expecting in the next 24 hours. So probably won't see a 5,000 acre fire, but a 500 acre fire, or maybe slightly bigger under the right conditions, is possible in the grass and just scattered brush possibly by later today. So this is our high risk. Other areas are starting to moderate a little bit, but still moist across a big chunk of the area. And here's our winds on the left-hand side, and these brown colors, 55 to 60 knot gusts. This is something we normally do not see in June. These are probably the strongest winds this model has forecast in a couple of years up here in the Snake River Plain. So shaving a bit off this and just thinking gusts of 40 to 50 miles an hour. Still a wide area, humidity levels in the teens. We've had 200 to 300 acre fires burned with lighter winds and similar humidity conditions, so there is our concern for there. And even down into northern Utah, these purple shades, wind gusts 30 to 40 miles per hour for northern Utah, northern Nevada. So again, there is a concern through there as well. Lighter winds as you head further south, but still very warm and dry. Thursday, this front pushes on southwards, cooler, more moist conditions under this low. The belt of stronger winds pushes further south. Here are our dryness conditions. No high risk as of yet. We'll have to see if our southern areas meet it. We'll have a fuel call later today. But on the left, there are the winds. The purplish shades going to brown indicate 40 to 55 mile an hour winds. Humidity levels will be moderating. Northern Utah near 30%, in the 30s, 20s and 30s and 40s over Idaho, but dry across northern Nevada in the teens. Low mid-20s northern Utah, but down into the teens, especially low teens in southeast Utah with those winds. So in predominantly grassy areas, could be some good spread. Brush will act to mitigate winds, as will north and east aspects. Friday, the trough deepens, lots of clouds, coolness through here, a big cool down Friday. Things moisten up quite a bit. We have high risk with our partners to our south over parts of Arizona and New Mexico. Still strong winds down here along the Arizona border. Right down there, maybe humidity levels in the mid to upper teens, so we'll have to see if that'll be a concern through there. But most areas should see humidity levels coming up quite a bit. 3-day precipitation totals. We'll have some precipitation across parts of the mountains of Idaho, as well as much of central and eastern, especially northeastern Utah. Much higher humidity in just about all areas by the end of the 3-day period, but not much rain further south. On Saturday, that upper low continues with coolness and clouds across the eastern Great Basin, just generally about 5 to 10 degrees cooler across the western Great Basin. So no concerns through there. Then that low moves out. We start seeing high pressure ridge starting to build in. And just as it does so, another deep low pressure area gathers strength. Clouds and showers return to Idaho. And then by Tuesday, clouds and showers return. We do see the potential for some low humidity and winds across southern Nevada, Arizona Strip, and southern Utah, possibly later in the period. 7-day precipitation totals, not much different from the first 3. Maybe a second shot up here in Idaho. Now the 8 to 14, the outlook continues with a cooler than normal signal. Wetter than normal across the northern half of the geographic area. There's a drier than normal signal here across the Four Corners into parts of the Arizona Strip and southern and southeastern Utah. And that's primarily because normally this time of year we start getting monsoonal moisture, and there's no sign of a monsoon developing in this kind of a pattern where the storms are still coming out of the north. So that'll delay the monsoon down there. It means wind events could start becoming more critical in our southern areas. But most of our northern central areas, fuels are still too moist to support very large fire activity. This concludes our briefing. Have a great day.